Hello, Steve here. Welcome to Real Health. Who'd have thought health is about what we're eating? Join me on my quest to disseminate my go-to health regimen, the Health 44, my clumsy branding of eliminating 4 classes of food, introducing 4 classes of micronutrients. Bingo, bongo, health sorted. So thank you for your interest. Let's do this. Right, welcome, and here we go. Which diet tribe is more natural? So the diet tribes that I'm referring to: carnivore, vegan, keto, paleo, and then you can go down the list. There's many others, but they're the main market share at the moment. I do have a bias. Let's face it, everybody has a bias, but even my bias isn't out of the woods. So I'm on the bias of carnivore and keto. One of the main reasons why I'm not a vegan, because what I prescribe for humanity is that we can do it on any diet, the whole Health 44, which each and every episode I need to do a bit of a spiel on it, because let's face it, this is a crappy production, this monologue of this schmuck, and yeah, so that's why I'm going to do it. So that's where my bias is, carnivore keto, because I'm pretty much heavy keto, which I've disclosed many a time. I've even changed my prescription from, I've called this Health 44 prescription, which I'll mention. I've called it, originated as the 44 for dairy, with a twist of dairy and egg. How clumsy was that? A little bit less clumsy was Keto 44, and even maybe less clumsy is the Health 44. So that's my disclosure. I do have a bias, and my bias is that, hey, I need some dairy in my diet, I need some eggs, and I'm not that fussed on meat, but in the last 6 months, I'm quite fussed. I need my meat. And it's not that much that I eat, like the likes of some of the carnivore people out there that are doing the rounds on social media. Even Dr. Sean Baker has this big hunk of meat, and I've only got not a hunk, but a chunk. My max is 2/3 of a pound. Sometimes I go, once or twice I've gone half kilo. Yeah, so that was that. Right. Because I don't like veggies and I can handle the heavy keto, that's me. But it's not, I'm not going to push one particular diet tribe. So the carnivore people would suggest that it's natural. It's what humanity was originated from. I've got some challenges to that. The carnivores would suggest that the foragers, the vegans, from time to time, there's this also idea that veganism has been tried several times throughout history and it hasn't worked. There's this particular 50-ish-year-old that was a vegan for 20 years. I wish I knew her name. It will add some more value to this, but and recently gone carnivore, and her health is improving. I tracked this one particular vegan gal, which is a dog whisperer, a dog mental health consultant, something like that, and see how she tracks. She's been now vegan for approaching 15 years. Let's see how she ends up. She's doing still great, but if she doesn't supplement what I subscribe to here, prescribe for the rest of humanity, she might struggle down the track, just like this other example of this lady. She's also uncovered for me that Okinawans, they may have a high vegetarian non-meat intake, but still 80% of the Okinawan example, 80% of their intake has been pork fat in the macros, right? So, right, a few little picks of teasers of information. So, natural, hey? The whole idea of natural and regenerative farming, which isn't quite natural, and some of the vegans out there which poo-poo it do have points. And regenerative farming isn't natural because domesticated animals and agriculture only started 5,000 years ago. But the reason why we started with carnivore heavy existence was if somebody had something or kept on having something, they would be attacked. And this feeds into my thoughts on property rights. If anyone started to domesticate or start agriculture, it would be obliterated. It would not thrive because you'd have your competitors around the hillside going to attack you. And that's why perhaps agriculture and domestication of animals started ancient Egypt. Let's mention ancient Egypt as the starting point of where we are at the moment, is that anyone that tried to invade or steal someone's stuff, the pharaoh, the king, their full might would be supported by all their supporters and hired what's the word? Hired knife, hired the soldiers. So property rights. Once property rights got sorted with humanity, then came food security. So secure is food now is that we have an abundance. We have an abundance. There was times even in the last century where there wasn't much. There wasn't. Animal products weren't too available, so we were clutching at our straws, at our wheat, and even wheat became fairly sparse, and we had the genocides and all that sort of thing. So it was easy, in my opinion. This is not so humble, but this is where it's at, I reckon. Why we originated in the hunting of animals is because there was no need to store the ample calories of that particular kill. And that's why we were hunters. And the gathering part, the women were the gatherers apparently, and the women were easy pickings for other tribes to pick their gatherings. So that's why it was highly valued. It was highly valued to do the hunt for the meat. And it's also thought that organ meats were very prized, eating liver and kidney and all that sort of thing. Usually the strongest of the tribe, the most desperate, the most powerful, had the pickings of the muscle meat, and the rest were happy to report that. the bones, the joints of the bones, and the organs were lovely. Let's face it, they're not. Even to primitive man, it will not have. We do have correlations with taste. If anyone has seen videos of feeding cheesecake to a particular peoples of an ancient tribe, you'll know that if there was ding dongs and hot dogs and Twinkies in prehistoric times, they would have loved that stuff. So that's where I feel that no, it's a bit more than feel. Being more carnivorous in early prehistoric times was a resource allocation issue. You had to eat your kill there. Once you have your kill, you've got the other hunters there. There's no other way for other tribes to invade you because there's protection. There was then protection in ancient Egypt, Greece, Mesopotamia, even into Middle Ages, where the protection of the king, the protection of the monarchies, had the lords and all that sort of thing, with the English example, to protect produce, to protect the grains, and to protect the domesticated animals, because let's face it, the Muslim Empire, what's it called, the Persian Empire, they took the cows of much of Europe, and they were left with eating their swine. And that's the case with the former Yugoslav type cultures like Serbia, Croatia, Macedonia, all that region, and the whole Balkans, where they're quite swine heavy, and even in their contemporary diets. So even domesticated animals were a target. So that's why the carnivores have sway in. We originated from a carnivorous existence because that was the only way we could do it. It was easier to get your kill, consume it there, while no one else takes your stuff. The gatherers, and then little bit later, the cultivation and the and farming practice had the protection of the king and the slightly armed farmers. Later, once property rights were even better sorted, where parcels of land got allocated to the people that produced more, we ended up 1,000%, 1,500% more production, more produce was getting produced in our farming lands. And I'm using the European example, where just prior to the Industrial Revolution, and the Industrial Revolution was preceded by that agricultural revolution, where we were able to really beef up with the backing of the king and the law, property rights, and rights of possessions and all that sort of thing. We were able to allocate land to good producers, and we effectively, together with an increase in production, the less need for labor and that sort of thing, it forced people into the cities. And that's how the Industrial Revolution began, with ample labor available, steam, all those 18th century improvements in production of things and inventions and this and that. That's how the Industrial Revolution began. It's because of the Agricultural Revolution. and the vegans or the vegetarians or vegans most likely to suggest here the reason why they feel that it's veganism that is more natural is because animals take a lot of resource, like 80% plus of the grains are produced for animal intake, animal intake for our animal consumption. And the carnivores would suggest that gathering, the reason why we know that what's poisonous and what's not in the vegan world is because we were so desperate. We thought, may as well eat a bit of plant. This one, ooh, that just killed Larry over there. Ooh, that made Sally a little bit ill. Just not quite that. How about this berry? A few weeks later, yep, I'm good. That berry's good. And that's how we understood which crops will stand the test of time for our health and wealth, in also support of property rights, which made this life that we experience now a possibility. It's all about property rights, protection of property. Vegans would suggest that ancient peoples didn't understand that plants and crops were more healthy. Well, what would happen is if there was no availability to animals, and we civilized more, like the Aztec example, when there was no animals around and we were just basically foraging and growing stuff in that region of the world, cannibalism started. Even whole rituals of killing children and eating your competitors and that sort of thing came on because we were busting. We were busting for protein and micronutrients, and that's how they excused cannibalism, was to kill people that were just getting too many, or whatever excuse they want to use. The vegans would suggest that now we have all this research, and the evidence and the research states that a low saturated fat diet lengthens life. Well, my challenge to that is let's name some of the centenarians that are vegans. Not many. If there is, they've had a bit of milk here and there, a bit of fish in their time in the last few decades. The carnivores aren't, as I've mentioned, aren't out of the woods. If they still eat bacon that's well done, they overcook their meat more than medium rare in the muscle meat, red meat example comparison. More than medium rare, that's also a health hazard. Superheating to the point where you get to medium rare is also hazardous. Superheating, that also goes with the vegans. So we've got a lot of room to improve our understanding on being a vegan or carnivore, keto, and the like. The intermittent fasting people, well, they're even more impaired in their thoughts on health. And let's face it, it's usually the weight loss people that center around intermittent fasting, autophagy, this and that process. That's a clutching at straws and stabbing in the dark at best. I'm inadvertently keto with between 5 and 8 hours in between my breakfast and dinner. I don't really have a lunch apart from coffee, so that's counted for me. Many people that fast don't count coffee as their intake. You better count it. You better count it. My organic decaf coffee. I've mentioned that in recent episodes where mold risk and also caffeine leaches more of your minerals. So I probably, for this attempt, I probably could have prepared better, but I think I've made my point. Also to suggest that vegan, carnivore, paleo, and name your other diet, tribe, or poison, none of them are natural. None of them are natural. We just, what's the word, to mold, to adjusted. We adjusted to our times, and we'd like to suggest that being a carnivore, the Inuits were carnivores, and this and that. It's just what people did. It's what people had to do to survive. We even had to be slightly vegans to survive, using the Aztecs example, because they hunted away all the animals. They nicked off from all those regions, those mountainous regions, and then they started eating people. See what happens when you become vegan? Well, the vegans usually satiate their deficiencies, their micronutrient deficiencies, with a lot of oil intake, a lot of ice cream and cookies. That's why you get those, get the ultra thin vegans and the ultra obese vegans. Don't worry, there's carnivores that's attempted carnivore, and they get onto the bacon and just can't stop. The hams, the pastrami's, corned beef, probably not so much corned beef, but the salamis and all that sort of thing. They're not out of the woods. They're increasing their nitrite intake, which are carcinogens, and that's where the carnivores will be represented, maybe slightly overrepresented in cancer risk, is because of the processed meats consumption. And carnivores, they better eat some of the organ meats, otherwise you're still not getting enough. The liver and the kidneys are up to 100 times more micronutrients than the muscle meats. So you need to consider that. And yes, the vegans are getting minerals, vitamins, amino acids, and essential fatty acids from their vegan diet, but it's getting even more sparse than the sparsity of it currently, because we don't unknowingly get new minerals coming into the farmlands with seasonal flooding. We certainly don't do ash practice anymore. Ashes used to provide some of the minerals to replace the carrots and the wheat and the lettuce that was pulled out of the ground, because each harvest, the minerals are being leached by the crops. If it's not replaced, it's gone forever. And that's the complex we're stuck in if we don't add minerals back into the soils. The mob that I get most of my all of my micronutrients from, my supplements, is Longevity, and they've got this blooming minerals product where you want naturally to have your produce to have the minerals in it, which is unreliable, not dependable, because you don't know what's in the soil. You can get minerals in by using the blooming minerals, and your tomatoes, your carrots will get certainly many more minerals than the shop bought or fruit shop bought produce. You're only guaranteed of getting NPK, nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, in modern day produce, because we don't replace the minerals. There's 60 declared essential minerals, which make up in total 90 declared essential micronutrients, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, not 9, 12, and 2 essential fatty acids that make up 90 declared essential micronutrients. Okay, and that's part of the Health 44. And just to indicate, this is the the whole health 44 health happens when you do the 44. You take away 90% of the supermarket, which is the gluten, oils, sugars, nitrates, nitrites. I already mentioned the nitrites, and you add in those 4 classes of micronutrients. That's the 44 part. In a short time, health will begin and continue improving, and then bingo bongo, that is your longevity, not the particular diet tribe you have picked, which is also misguided by the particular methods that you go about. Carnivore, keto, carnivore, paleo, vegan, and then the derivatives into intermittent fasting and the like. I did mention that I'm intermittent fasting by not knowing it. That's the way. I don't try to be intermittent fasting, but yeah. So that's pretty much it. That's my case. Nothing is natural. How far back do you want to call natural? 18th century, Egyptian times, or prehistoric? Natural because it originated that way? No, an origination of something doesn't mean it's natural. Property rights weren't quite there. If you had something, you're going to be speared. That's why we struggled to have anything until the Middle Ages into, I guess, the Industrial Revolution, when farms became secure, feedlots and meat processing became secure. No one would dare steal anything from people that had stuff, because there was jails, there was death. And that's why property rights have made things secure for us with our vegan friends, carnivore friends, and choose your tribe. So economics has steered our abundance of availability, not what is natural and out of just magical powers that we have all this abundance. It's philosophy that has got us into this relatively, people still say it's, well, the price of food, relatively, historically speaking, we haven't had it this easy, okay? And but it gets tougher if you do the Health 44 to be the ultimate of health. And that's what I prescribe for humanity. Take it or leave it. If there's any stout vegans, carnivores, and whichever tribe you're in, let's compare notes in 30 years and see who does better. The vegans that do micronutrients, vegans with or without, carnivores with or without micronutrients. Well, I'm more keto because I have milk and Greek yogurt in my diet. So, once again, I think I've made my point. Take it or leave it. I don't care. I'll be here until unless I get knifed or run over by something. Okay, bye-bye.